to the news, everybody, shall we? Sorry, a real loose day on the stream. Really yappy today. So, Congress advances U.S.-Israeli military integration plan. A provision of the 2027 draft U.S. defense bill could bind the two countries' weapons industries closer than ever. Very interesting. And there is a precedent for this, very obviously. We know our military is bound legally with South Korea's military, for example. A provision in a bill before the U.S. Congress could tie the U.S. and Israeli militaries far more closely together, deepening their cooperation on weapons research, production, and technology. The proposal tied... Oh, yeah, where is Big Got Co? Did our troll leave us? Did we lose? And Big Yahoo! Are we trollless today? Oh, my God. It's very disturbing. What if the bigs go on strike until we give them mod access? They would bring us to our knees in days. Thank you, Weebcore. Keep the dream alive. If the bigs go on general strike, I don't know how long we'd last. Uh-oh. They can never know this. Nobody tell them this. They're probably making out. Happy June. Big Uncle's an eye infection. Oh, no. I actually hate that. Okay. Nobody tell them about the strike. Okay. So the proposal, titled the U.S.-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, appears as Section 224 of the House Armed Services Committee's version of the fiscal year 2027 National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, the annual U.S. defense policy bill. The measure is still at an early stage, but the NDAA is passed by Congress each year to set U.S. military policy and authorize defense programs and spending levels. If enacted, the provision could mark a significant change in one of the world's closest military relationships, shifting the two countries from a partnership centered largely on U.S. military aid towards one in which their defense industries are more deeply intertwined. We don't know it yet. Okay, Section 224 would require the U.S. Defense Secretary to appoint an executive agent, a single official to coordinate military cooperation between the U.S. and Israel. So, when we talk to people about these, the masses, they're not super class conscious. They managed to figure out Israel bad, but they have not figured out really why Israel bad. And unfortunately, they just double down into anti-Semitism. I think a lot of them are like, Israel bad because the Jews control the media or some shit like that. And a lot of them think that because of this kind of line of thinking, Israel controls the United States. You'll hear this a lot, we work for Israel, like we serve Israel. And the subtext is the Jews control the world, blah, 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 anti-Semitism. We know that's not true, though, right? We obviously know that's not true. We know that Israel is one of several U.S. military vassal states around the globe. And our primary reason for supporting Israel and working with Israel is that they are basically a giant military base for us to use in the region. That's it. It's a very convenient location for us. We like being able to park military shit there. It's very strategic for us. Key. So instead of having, back in the old days where we would go start a colony there because the location is militaristically strategic or resource strategic or whatever, instead, we will just form a very, very tight and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Codependent relationship, not codependent, but like dependent relationship where they need us in the region, and we basically turn their country into a military base for us. That's more or less what we've done with Israel. Israel is a little more bratty about it, like they're going to do what they're going to do, and we're like, well, maybe we can make some money at the very least. But they are a vassal state of ours, and they are certainly not the only one. This is the same thing we tried to do with South Korea, the same thing we want to do with Taiwan, the same thing we're trying to do actively with Ukraine, the same thing we did with Rwanda, that we are currently also trying to do with the DRC, the same thing that's probably going to happen with Argentina. We see it already happening with Argentina. This is exactly what we do. So this idea, obviously, that Israel controls the United States, that is incorrect. The United States controls Israel. And this is going to be another further example of that. Just really solidifying that this is not a country. This is a U.S. military base. Right. And we all know the DPRK in particular has always talked about this. They've always talked about Israel as an outpost of the U.S. military in the region, and as part of when they go on very justified and deserved scathing diatribes against Israel in public, they reference this quite a bit. That is an American military base disguised as a country. And it's true. And they are correct to say that. So this would cover joint research and development, the shared production of weapons, and the linking of military systems and data. And again, we have this relationship maybe manifesting a little bit different, but with South Korea's military. The United States military is in charge of South Korea's military still to this day. So what Congress is trying to do now is find different ways of entrenching the relationship so deep in America's own defense industrial base that it's impossible to root it out. Josh Paul, a former U.S. Department of State official and founder of the advocacy group A New Policy, said about the controversial provision. A new section of the law in the National Defense Authorization Act would give Israel unprecedented access to American technology and would force the U.S. military to integrate Israeli defense technologies into our own critical military supply chain, giving Israel incredible leverage over America's own defense priorities. So he added this in a video posted on social media on Friday. Look, I'm willing to bet that this guy is just like a kookball anti-Semite kind of vibe. And this is what gets weird about talking about Israel with people. Some people hate Israel, but like for the wrong reasons. And this is his thing. He's like, Israel is going to have all this leverage over America's defense priorities. There is no way in hell Israel is ever going to have more leverage over us than we have over them. Like, that's just delusional to think. And this ties into this idea that the Jews secretly in charge of everything. They are an outpost of us and not the other way around. But this is how a lot of conservatives are kind of posing this. They think that Israel has too much control. This is like the conservative assessment of it that I think is really interesting. Do we think this is a response to the American population moving away from the loyalty to Israel? I don't know. I think it's interesting because I think that on the right has always been fractured and splintered on the issue of Israel. This has always kind of been a thing. There are people who hate Israel because they're Jews and they are anti-Semites and they just hate Jewish people. And there are people who, love Israel because it's military strategic location. Joe Biden even used to be like, I am a proud Zionist. Like, I forget he's still alive, actually. I shouldn't talk about him in the past tense. He's still alive, right? That guy didn't die. He's still here? I think. No. AI says he's still alive. Good news, everybody. Okay. So, sorry. It was real rough at the end there. I wasn't sure. I'm so sorry. He's terminal cancer. Okay. All right. Well, he's a war criminal. So, some people love Israel because of their own evangelical religion reason, Jesus nuke, right? But also because of the military strategic location of it. So it's always been kind of a divisive issue on the right, no matter where the American population fell on it. I think the only difference is that now, in the left, the anti-Semite contingency of anti-Israel people has a tacit ally. Like, for example, when Code Pink was like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you for standing up to Israel. Marjorie Taylor Greene's not standing up to Israel because she cares about Palestinian liberation or imperialism, right? In West Asia. She's probably just like a weird Nazi, right? And Code Pink, whatever. They're nice. They're older people. They're nice. They do good work, But it's like, how much do you want to make the enemy of your enemy your friend? I don't know. That's a decision we all have to make for strategic importance. Yeah. I don't know. The Stein files say Joe Biden was replaced? No, they say that about me, though. They say I was replaced. It's just very interesting. So the two countries have already built missile defense systems together, such as the Iron Dome. The bill would extend their joint work into many more areas of modern warfare, from artificial intelligence, AI, to drones and cyber operations. People like Candace Owens are just records. Exactly. And it's like, okay, so we both hate Israel, but we hate them for very different reasons. The provision comes amid turmoil in the Middle East following joint U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran earlier this year. In February, U.S. and Israeli forces attacked Iran, triggering 5 weeks of war. Iran struck back at Israel and at U.S. bases in the Gulf region before a ceasefire took hold in April. Ceasefire. Israel is also facing genocide allegations in a case brought by South Africa at the ICJ, the top court of the UN, over its war in Gaza. The bill must first clear the House Armed Services Committee, which is due to take it up in early June, and then pass the full House and Senate. It was proposed by the committee's Republican chairman, Mike Rogers, and its most senior Democrat, Adam Smith, giving it support from both main parties, even as opinion polls suggest growing opposition among most Democrats and some Republicans to further military support for Israel. I mean, look, I think Democrats are realizing it will cost them elections, point blank, right? And I think Republicans just are anti-Semitic. God, my mouth is so messed up. I destroyed it. Okay. So the U.S. has supported Israel's military for decades. Since 2008, U.S. laws required Washington to protect Israel's qualitative military edge, keeping its forces stronger and more advanced than those of any rival in the region, on the grounds that a small country must rely on better weapons rather than greater numbers. Under the current aid deal signed during the administration of former President Barack Obama, Washington provides Israel with about $3.8 billion a year in military assistance. The 10-year agreement runs through 2028. Israel is the largest recipient of U.S. foreign aid since 1948, almost all of it now military and worth more than $300 billion when adjusted for inflation. The nature of that support may now be changing. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said recently he wants to end Israel's reliance on U.S. military aid within 10 years, saying his country has come of age. So they're mad. They're rebelling. They're doing teenage rebellion against mom and dad. Closer cooperation between the two defense industries rather than cash would likely fit that goal. So I think this is really interesting. So the idea that Netanyahu wants to move Israel away from being reliant on the United States, it means a couple things. So like we said, Israel doesn't control the U.S. The U.S. controls Israel. And that means that everything Israel is doing, the United States is fine with. We know, because we could stop it if we want. And one of the key things that was really interesting watching how Kamala Harris and Joe Biden handled the genocide in Gaza is that Ronald Reagan was further left than them on the issue of what Israel was doing to Palestine. Because there was a moment when Ronald Reagan was president, when he picked up the phone and he called Israel and he was like, you need to stop this. This is insane what you're doing. And they stopped. Why? Because we have control over them, not the other way around. So the fact that, when we say Joe Biden and Kamala Harris could have stopped this, they could have. They 100% could have. Ronald Reagan fucking did. And there's a reason, right? And the reason is that they are subservient to us. They were a vassal state of us. They were a client state of us. That appears to be pissing them off. And that's why they would like to no longer rely on us for the military. They don't want us to have that leverage over them. We have leverage on them. They don't have leverage on us. So for the United States, doing something like this that attempts to make them more dependent on us for military aid, really tighten that and be like, oh, no, you're our military base and we're not letting you get out of it that easily. That appears to be the crisis that will unfold, which is very, very interesting. Why did he call them? So Ronald Reagan, I don't know if you guys know this about Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan's parents were socialists, were communists. And Ronald Reagan used to be very socialist, progressive, lefty himself. So I'm going to talk to you guys about this. I did a whole podcast episode thing about him. He's very, very interesting. So basically when he met Nancy Reagan, he was like hard eyes in love with her. And she and her family are all like super evil, hardcore right-wing Republican psychopaths. And Nancy Reagan's dad was like, hey, you idiot who wants to marry my daughter, here's how politics works. And Ronald Reagan is a stupid man. And certainly not an innocent stupid man, but like a stupid man nonetheless. And Nancy Reagan's dad was like, here are politics, do this. And Ronald Reagan was like, okay, I'm this now. And just became like hardcore conservative. So he was really the first president that was controlled by the Heritage Foundation because he didn't really have a strong actual political agenda on his own, which is part of what made him so dangerous and so deranged, right? He just had a bunch of rich guys being like, deregulate everything. Haha, we'll make money. And he was like, okay. And he did it. But starting off, he was a socialist. His parents were socialists, were communists. And I think because of that, his instincts, like emotional instincts, actually probably sometimes geared towards doing the right thing before his handlers stepped in and were like, no. Yeah, he was honeypotted. He was honeypotted hardcore and crafted into this ultimate machine for the new right-wing agenda. Because up to this time, right-wing politics didn't really work the way they work now. Ronald Reagan was the first example of this kind of happening, where they took this idea of the moral majority, they lumped it in with conservative moral values, but also conservative economic values that would help make rich people super, super crazy rich. And this is around the same time that the Heritage Foundation figured out that you could make a lot of money in donations if you told stay-at-home Christian women that you were going to make abortion illegal. If you could tell stay-at-home Christian moms and wives that you were going to make abortion illegal, they would support anything you put forward, even if the rest of your policies were ultimately really, really bad for the working class. They didn't care. Because you were, kind of hysterical over the issue of abortion. And this is kind of at that same time. So the Republican Party, as we think of it today, as this merger between extremely conservative right-wing Christian values and ways to make rich guys richer, that merger happened around the same time with the Heritage Foundation getting popular, and also with Reagan, who was in many ways crafted and put together by Nancy Reagan's dad and his friends to be their version of a politician for this new version of right-wing politics, which is very, very interesting. So, he's an interesting case. He also famously started ratting on all the communists in Hollywood because the FBI told him that all of the cool Hollywood actors in the SAG Guild or whatever, they were all having parties and making fun of Ronald Reagan for not being cool like them. And that is how the FBI turned him into an informant on communists, by basically appealing to his emotions and being like, oh yeah, all of them, those other actors, they're so cool. They're way cooler than you. And they're all communists. And they make fun of you. It's so sad. They say mean things about you. Oh my God, can you believe that? You should spy on them. And Ronald Reagan was like, okay, I will. And that's literally how he became an informant for the FBI. So they were New Deal Dems. Okay, thank you, Melanie. Thank you for that. So they weren't communists. They were socialists. They were New Deal Democrats. That's actually a really good point of clarification. Thank you. It gets confusing because during that time of the New Deal, everybody in the United States was just stealing so much policy from the USSR. They were microdosing communism, but it was not actual communism. It was the New Deal version of, we got communism at home, guys. You don't need to go have a full worker revolution. So that's what they were. Okay, yeah, thank you for that clarification. Thank you. They were very left-wing, but they were, that New Deal era, which is the most progressive we ever saw Democrats get in the United States because the Great Depression fucking happened and the country was falling apart. And everybody thought they would have a full-on revolution to become the USSR. That's what it is. So we could have had a Comrade Reagan, maybe. But I don't know, the man was real dumb. I think he was just kind of going where he was pointed a lot of the time. And he was real charming. So everyone was like, okay. He was weak. He was weak. Weak man. Dumb and weak man. Yeah, and evil. Dumb, weak, and evil. And that led to evil. Made him evil. So, basically, in 1982... I'm going to show you this. This is from the New York Times from August 13th, 1982. And this is when Ronald Reagan was to the left of the Democratic Party on Israel. All right. Israelis begin bombing West Beirut. As the raid continues, Lebanon's prime minister tells the special American envoy that talks can't continue. The Israeli cabinet meets, and Reagan sends a message expressing outrage, reportedly threatening to halt the mission of the American envoy to go talk to them. The cabinet decides to end the raids and order new ones only if they are essential. So literally Reagan was like, what the fuck are you guys doing, Israeli cabinet? Fucking stop that in Lebanon. And they did. So Reagan tried to call them for hours, couldn't get through. The King of Saudi Arabia called Reagan. A new ceasefire goes into effect in West Beirut. Reagan reaches Begin for a 10-minute phone call. Begin calls President Reagan to say that a complete ceasefire has been ordered. So then Reagan expresses outrage to Prime Minister Menachem Begin today over Israel's latest bombing raids in West Beirut, saying the attacks had resulted in needless destruction and bloodshed. Right? It was the sharpest statement by Reagan since the start of the Israeli invasion of Lebanon 9 weeks ago. Now, this was in 1982, Ronald Reagan. And when we say, like, the Democratic Party is to the right of the old Republican Party, this is the kind of shit we're talking about. Like, when shit got wild, Reagan picked up the phone and flexed his stupid American president big dick energy, right? And was like, fucking stop, this is crazy. And Israel was like, my bad. All right, fine, what's up? Because Israel relies on the United States and not the other way around. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris could have done this. They did not. Why? Because Joe Biden loves being a Zionist. You guys have seen the Joe Biden Zionism clip, right? You guys have seen that? Did you guys see that video? Yeah? Does anybody not? Unfortunately, yeah, it's pretty bad. No? Okay, well, I'll find out. Hold on. See if I can find it. Let's see if... There's this one where he's like, if there was not an Israel, we would need to create an Israel. I think this might be it. Let's see. Let's see what I found.
We're also going to discuss the ironclad commitment, and this is, I'll say this 5,000 times in my career, the ironclad commitment the United States
I'm thinking of one
has
from the
to
80s.
Israel,
This one's newer.
based on our principles, our ideas, our
Nah,
values.
this isn't the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking older. I think it's from the 80s or 90s. Let's see. We got some YouTube slop content, maybe. Sorry. Yeah, he's in a big room. It's older.
It's about time.
Yes, maybe?
We stop
Yes,
those of
this
us
is
who
it.
support, as most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest.
Oh yeah, that music was doing something for me too. I'm glad other people pointed it out. I was like, what the fuck is this music? Why does it sound like he's about to like drop a diss track or something? I know. We're gonna kill everybody. Fuck them all. I mean, literally, what's going on in heaven? Like, what is this fucking music? Whatever the case. Yeah, that's, you know, this is the United States. And the thing that's interesting about Joe Biden is that he's so mask off with it. He's like, that's an investment. Our military security is inextricably linked. I am a Zionist. We need them. And he says it. He says it right out of the gate, right? Yeah, he said he saw 40 beheaded babies with his own eyes. We later found out that was a totally bullshit claim. The man just lied. And somebody else was like, yeah, he's a fucking old segregationist. Exactly. It's not a good guy. So, you know, this is pretty normal. And then, like, let's compare it to what the DPRK has said about Israel, for example. Let's see about Kim Jong-il on Israel. Sorry. And it's just wild seeing the difference, right? I'm going to look up some old stuff, too, from, like, the UN, maybe. Radio Free Asia. We got a Radio Free Asia in there. So cool. So this is the way North Korea, meanwhile, our proper country, talks about Israel. North Korea calls Israel a U.S.-backed terror project, which is exactly what it is. That was the man they shamed us into voting for the... Yeah, it's the man they tried to claim was the person you vote for to be left. So, yeah, complete open book, no filter. I mean, he also... The thing about Joe Biden is he was a segregationist. Like, he's a very conservative man. Like, he is the Democratic Party mask off, right? Yeah, meanwhile, Kim Jong-un says that Washington is using Israel to advance its own interests in the Middle East. They're not stupid. They fucking know. Everybody knows. Joe Biden says it. North Korea is like, yeah, that's why we hate you. That's why we support Palestine. And Americans still are just so ding-dong brain that they're like, Israel controls us. No, babes. No. So yeah, I want to find like more of this though. Like there's things that the DPRK was saying in like the, or I don't know, early 2000s, the 90s. They're just like, fuck you, fuck that. Like they've always stood on business when it comes to this. I'm gonna look at before 2016. All right, so here's an article I found. This is from 2015, I believe. North Korea accuses Israel of being a dictatorial force for aggression. North Korea this past weekend accused Israel of representing dictatorial forces for aggression that trampled down the legitimate right of the Palestinian people. Pyongyang responded angrily to Benjamin Netanyahu's remark to the visiting Japanese premier last week, in which the Israeli leader said that both Jerusalem and Tokyo face formidable threats from nearby rogue states, Israel from Iran and Japan from North Korea. Iran, Netanyahu said, cannot be allowed to travel the road taken by North Korea, a path which was said to lead to an agreement in Pyongyang in 1994 that was widely celebrated as a historical breakthrough for non-proliferation, but in the end, the deal failed to prevent the dangerous proliferation that threatens all of East Asia today. North Korea has never threatened East Asia. Netanyahu reiterated his position that until a deal is reached that dismantles Iran's military capability, the international sanctions on Iran must be maintained, blah, 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 blah. So, the North Korean regime, according to the Jerusalem Post, issued a statement through the Korean Central News Agency taking Netanyahu to task for provocative remarks hurting the DPRK's dignity and social system. The statement said that Netanyahu's criticism of Pyongyang amounted to rubbish, as did suggestions that the North Korean regime was working with Israel's enemies on missile and armament technology. In order to conceal its true colors as a harasser of Mideast peace, the successive rulers of Israel have been apt to talk about the missile deal and nuclear cooperation between the DPRK and Mideast countries, the statement read. Not content with this, Israel recently went the lengths of hurting the DPRK's dignified social system. The people-centered Korean-style socialist system is the most advantageous system under which the people became masters of everything and it serves them, and the DPRK's nuclear weapons are powerful deterrents to protect its social system. These are the most sane and rational people on the fucking planet, and the fact that the West is constantly trying to paint them like deranged psychopaths is disgusting. Like, Israel is everything that the West accuses the DPRK of being. North Korea slams Israel as a rogue nuclear threat. This is January 26, 2015. North Korea's foreign ministry slammed the shamelessness of Israel on Friday, calling the Jewish state, that's how they word it, to make you really feel guilty about disliking Israel, a rogue group that poses a nuclear threat and commits terrorist attacks against neighboring countries, which is correct. So this is about the statement that was going on. You know, and this has been going on for forever. We all know, but we'll do it for the sake of the stream, obviously. People who are younger might not know this or really understand, right? When October 7th happens, the state that we were all in as a country, or as a planet maybe, but as a country certainly, about Palestine was the same way the average American thinks about North Korea today. We were told Palestine had a dictatorship, that they hated women, that they hated gay people, that they threw gay people off of roofs, that they slaughtered women, that women had no freedom there, nobody had freedom there, that they oppressed their own people, that they murdered their own people, that they starved their own people. All of this is what we were told about Palestine, right? And the fact that people managed to get through after October 7th and people started looking into this and really shifted the public consciousness on Israel and Palestine was really, really, really amazing. But what people don't realize is that for a long time, Palestine and North Korea were viewed and talked about the exact same way because they had a strong military alliance. So it was people like the United States and Israel versus people like Palestine and North Korea. And what's been really, really disturbing to me personally to see is that people have realized Israel is not good. This is not good. But rather than expanding that to like an understanding of imperialism and how it works and what that means about how the world is set up, they've just decided somehow it's because Jews are bad, which is very, very, very disturbing. So, you know, when we look at this is from 2021, for example. This is NK News, so this is an American propaganda network. And if we go to my North Korea resource list, NK News. I have the shortcuts for who their funding is here. NK News was founded as a memorial to the Marshall Plan, which was a grant from West German government given to the U.S. Given via U.S. government funding. They're owned by an American company out of Delaware, and NK Consulting is the name of the company. They get their money from the Department of Defense, the Department of the Treasury, Department of the State, Department of Navy, and the Smithsonian Institute. So this is who funds them. So this is who's funding this group, okay? And look at what they are reporting on. Hi, Kobashi! Right? North Korea may have supplied illicit arms to Hamas, but support for Palestinian liberation goes much deeper. And, oh my God, I cannot have that. I cannot have an NK News membership. Talk about the indignity. Talk about the indignity. Let's see if this works. But we were really told these people were all equally evil, which is why I do have faith that people can come around on issues like Cuba or North Korea, etc. But this was part of the messaging, right? North Korea has long supported the Palestinian liberation movement and the various political organizations that have represented this cause. Now, this came out May 20th, 2021, right? So the world hadn't yet realized, oh, Palestine's victims in Israel is bad. So think about this in the context of that. This is coming out in a world where everybody knows. They know 100% that Palestine is evil and bad, just like they know today 100% that North Korea is evil and bad. And this is a kind of slop article coming out, right? Since 1988, Pyongyang has officially recognized Palestine as the legitimate authority of all territory held by Israel except for Golan Heights. Pyongyang views the Israeli government as an imperialist lackey of Washington and the Palestinians as oppressed people fighting for their freedom. This was not the commonly held idea at the time. And so what's funny is this is supposed to be a diss on North Korea, right? It's like, look how crazy they are. But now we understand, with our knowledge of Palestine and Israel today, this just makes North Korea look very good and correct, right? And they have always been good and correct. The regime has also sold weapons and military equipment to groups involved in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and thus earned much-needed foreign currency. Ideologically, Pyongyang demonstrates its revolutionary credentials as an anti-imperialist and anti-colonialist stalwart by supporting the Palestinian militants. North Korea's support of Palestinian extremist groups such as Hamas can also be linked to the Kim family's regime's anti-American and anti-Western ideology. During the Cold War, North Korean state media regularly mentioned the bravery and revolutionary exploits of the Palestinian, quote, freedom fighters. However, the North Korean government also went beyond rhetorical solidarity and provided the left-leaning Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine with military support. In September 1970, PFLP leader George Habash visited Pyongyang in order to request further support from his North Korean comrades. The North Korean military also provided guerrilla warfare training to a number of Palestinian insurgents, including Abu Dad, a leader of Black September, the militant Fatah splinter group that killed 11 members of the Israeli Olympic team at the 1972 Munich Olympics. Yasser Arafat, and this is, we were taught to hate Yasser Arafat growing up in my age range the same way people are taught to hate Kim Jong-un today. So Yasser Arafat, the leader of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, made several visits to Pyongyang and seemed to regard the Kim family as an important ally of anti-Zionism. A year after Arafat's declaration of independence for the state of Palestine in 1988, the PLO leader visited the DPRK in order to deepen the traditional cooperation between the two countries. Arafat meant political and military cooperation, in particular the training of several hundred Palestinian airborne troops by North Korean special forces and supplies of North Korean arms. In the 1990s, North Korean leader Kim Jong-il formed a personal relationship with then-Palestinian ambassador to the DPRK, Mustafa Safarini. They were so close that Kim personally helped the ambassador and his wife with fertility treatment in the DPRK. With the help of the dear leader, and remember, none of this is supposed to sound good. To us, we're like, this is really nice. But this is at a time where you are supposed to think Palestine are psychopathic evildoers and Israel are the goodest boys that ever lived, right? This is supposed to be condemning. This is supposed to be damning. And now, with hindsight, even the most libbed up kind of Gen Zer will be like, Palestine good, even if they don't know why, right? So very interesting. So they were so close that Kim personally helped the ambassador's wife with fertility treatment. With the help of dear leader, the couple eventually gave birth to a baby girl in Pyongyang, with Kim Jong-il personally suggesting the Korean name Jindal-ae. Jindal-ae is now grown up and a vocal supporter of the Kim family regime on social media. Wait, we need to immediately follow Jindal-ae. Like, what? Yeah, exactly. Israel's the heckin' goodest doggo boy. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Let's see if this loads or not. Maybe not. Maybe not. So North Korea likely continued supplying weapons to Palestinian groups through the 2000s. Thai authorities found North Korean weapons, including surface-to-air missiles and rocket launchers, in a Georgia-registered plane at the Bangkok airport in 2009. The plane was likely headed to Iran, and the weapons were probably for Hamas and Hezbollah. Great. In 2014, journalist Con Coughlin claimed that Hamas paid Pyongyang hundreds of thousands of dollars for missiles and communications equipment. According to Israeli military technicians cited in Coughlin's report, North Korean experts also advised Palestinian militants on tunnel building in Gaza. That same year, arms control researcher Andrea Berger also noted that North Korea is adept at producing the kinds of arms that Hamas and Hezbollah most need. Again, remember, this is paid for content by the U.S. State Department. They want you to think this is bad. Her research points to North Korean capacity to manufacture 240mm and 120mm multiple rocket launchers, associated rockets and fuses, AK-47s, ammunition, RPG-7s, and a variety of warheads, as well as surface-to-air missiles. Based on imagery analysis, North Korea seems to have a solid anti-tank guided missile to Izz-ad-Din al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas. Analysts Jin Mitzer and Joost Olimans observed that the group likely received the missiles from North Korea via Iran through an elaborate network of smugglers and backdoor channels ranging from Sudan to the Gaza Strip. Mitzer and Olimans have recently reported that limited quantities of North Korean-made Bolse-2 anti-tank guided missiles and F-7 rocket-propelled grenades are most likely being used by Hamas Israel as well. While it's unclear how or if illicit weapons are still being transferred during the COVID-19 pandemic, Pyongyang continues to embrace Palestine as brothers in arms, and the leaders of the two countries still celebrate and acknowledge each other warmly. North Korea's solidarity with the Palestinian cause is both pragmatic and ideological. By supporting the Palestinian liberation movement and anti-Zionism, Pyongyang gains diplomatic status and recognition in the Arab world. This is a valuable diplomatic link for the increasingly isolated Kim regime. So I just think that's like really important perspective to have about the camp of Israel and the United States, and how us strengthening our military ties, what it really means. There is a camp of this in the world, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, right? We have more articles about this too. It was certainly not just that. North Korea is linked to Hamas. People were writing about this all the time in an effort to condemn both Palestine and North Korea. This is from 2021 as well, a long history of friendship and support. So Hezbollah and its main backers in Iran may be Shia Muslims, while Hamas, which was founded in 1987 as an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, is a Sunni group found mainly in Egypt. But the two seemingly disparate entities have found a common enemy in Israel and backers and partners in Iran as well as in North Korea. The PLO, founded in 1964, was the first Palestinian group to establish a relationship with Pyongyang. The PLO, then headed by the late Yasser Arafat, is believed to have made contact with the North Koreans through Egypt, which at that time had a close relationship with North Korea. Joseph Bermudez, a North Korea expert, writes in his book Terrorism, the North Korean Connection, that Pyongyang first began to provide financial assistance and training to a small number of PLO members during the mid-1960s. Now, also worth remembering here, losing control of the narrative on Palestine was a major issue for the West, right? That is why TikTok got sold to the CIA-created Oracle. That is why an offshoot of the CIA now is a large owner of TikTok, because they lost control of the narrative on Israel and Palestine. So all of this narrative control they're trying to do, imagine if they lose control of the narrative on Cuba. Imagine if everybody starts realizing that the CANF Cuban lobby is trained by AIPAC and is doing the exact same thing. Imagine if they lose control of the narrative on the DPRK. What's really interesting is if that happens more and more and more, we will see intensified crackdowns on freedom of speech, freedom of press, and we will see just how not free we ever were to begin with. Right now, they don't have to do that. Why? Because they have control of the narrative, right? They don't need to really crack down on free speech because everything you're saying is what they want you to say already. Why would they? They're just investing so much money in propaganda that they don't have to do any damage control. But if it breaks containment, if the propaganda isn't enough, they will do damage control. They will crack down on it. And that's what we've seen, right? Yeah, the new Call of Duty game, exactly. So yeah, that's kind of what was going on here before they lost control of the narrative. We were just supposed to assume that this would all be bad. Let's go here. Cooperation between the PLO and North Korea increased dramatically after the Palestinian militants were forced out of Jordan in September of 1970, an event that became known as Black September. A month before Black September, a PLO delegation had traveled to Pyongyang, where they were greeted by then North Korean leader Kim Il-sung himself. In September, George Habash, leader of the PFLP, also went to Pyongyang and was promised assistance. Habash was in North Korea at the time. His group hijacked American, British, and Swiss aircraft to the Jordanian desert and blew them up, actions that were the final straw that prompted the Jordanians to move against the Palestinian militants. Okay, so this goes on. Now, what's also worth noting is at the time in the 1960s, you know who else is active and getting involved is the Black Panther Party out in the United States. They are going to North Korea. They're talking about the Palestinian liberation struggle. They're talking about the North Korean people. All of these groups are connected. This is all one cause. How do you combat arguments that China is doing neo-imperialism in Africa? I don't think anything. First of all, China has a commodity based economy. Like they're doing money to commodity to money. They don't have a finance capital based economy. So not having a finance capital based economy means that they can't technically be doing imperialism. But if you're talking to a liberal, they're not going to like that. So usually what I do is I just tell them that I have the same opinion that the Communist Party of Kenya has, and then I quote this to them. Hold on. And if you're talking to a white liberal, that'll shut them up. Use the identity politics against them. Let me see if I can find this. Here we go. This is what I usually link them to. CommunistPartyOfKenya.org, 87 recent news, 319 China and the rise of the global south, a new era of collaboration for growth, etc. Okay, this one. So there is a quote in here that I usually give people. Here we go. Unlike the United States and Western nations, which have historically imposed detrimental policies on African nations through institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, such as the infamous Structural Adjustment Plan, China has adopted a policy of non-interference in the internal affairs of sovereign countries. This shift has spared African nations from the suffering and hardships inflicted by such destructive policies. So I think that's pretty good. So the people in Africa don't, people everywhere aren't monolith. They have complicated feelings. There are capitalists in Africa as well. The people with left-wing politics in Africa are telling us explicitly they do not view China as doing imperialism there. They view China as saving them from Western imperialism, offering them a road out from Western imperialism as comrades. So, usually I'm like, oh, I have the same opinion about that the Communist Party of Kenya has, which is this. And I give them that quote, and that's kind of it. Yeah, they do debt forgiveness. They get very, very chill terms, etc., etc. So, pretty good. Pretty good. Easy. Okay, so with that said, I guess we'll wrap up our news segment today and we'll move into MAP. Is everybody ready for MAP? Are we ready for MAP? I'm ready for MAP. But I think the overall lesson to be learned from this is it's not surprising that the United States is trying to formally link our military relationship with Israel so that they can't break free of our grasp and we continue to have leverage over them and control them because their location is of strategic military importance to us. And it also is not surprising that Israel might want to break free of that because the United States has been known to in the past, like under Ronald Reagan, for example, tell them they need to knock it off with the whole genocide thing or whatever, the bombings of everyone. So let's make some on that. Let's move into MAP. China is doing imperialism in Africa is the new Fed post trend. Yes. Yeah, it is the new Fed post trend. Yeah. Them and left comms. The left comms are wild, I will say. Because this is what I just keep coming back to. They are inventing secret conspiracy theories that Karl Marx was actually an anarchist. This is what they're coming down to. And it's wild. They'll be looking at text being like, well, no, actually, it doesn't mean what it says it means. It means something else entirely. It's pretty wild. It's pretty weird. Oh, we have new ambassadors on Discord. Oh. Okay. Yay. Do I need to do anything? Should I go on the Discord? I have to go look in the Discord. I'm sorry. I've had such a everything's been crazy with the election thing that I'm volunteering for. Okay. I'll go look in the Discord. Let me put that on my list to do today. Hold on. Wednesday. Social media, hold please. I can't see you guys. Check Discord. Draw pics. Alright. I'm doing it. I'll do it. Yeah, they're coming up with conspiracies that you're a social democrat. Well, because they think that anybody who believes in the existence of a state is a social democrat. Because Karl Marx actually was an anarchist. But they won't tell you they're an anarchist. That if you're like, so you're an anarchist, they're like, no, I just believe that Karl Marx thought the state was the source of all evil in the world, and communism would mean the abolition of the state, and then no state would exist. But it's not anarchism to them. No. So anybody who believes in the existence of a state, they have started calling a social democrat. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's really funny. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, have you read this man talking to Bakunin? Like, what are you doing? It's crazy. It's crazy. How many left comms would I guess are like COINTEL? I think most of them are kids, and a few of them are probably COINTEL. Yeah. So, okay, we just going to say China was saying stuff about the renationalization of British steel that sounded imperialist. I'm like, I beg you, do not try to tell me I think China's doing imperialism against Britain. These people are crazy. Crazy. Yeah, they think Marx was a crypto anarchist. Yeah. They're like literally the flat earthers of the left. They're like conspiracy theory brained. It's cuckoo bananas. They're like wackadoos. It's pretty funny. Spontex said, I used to be an anarchist. I used to be an anarchist too. Oh, and then I read books. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know how that happened. Whatever happened to him is interesting. They also act like Engels didn't understand. Engels literally helped develop Marxism. Like, what? I don't think they understand that relationship at all. It's very, very interesting. He became crypto-anarchist. Crypto-anarchist, yeah. Yeah, the anarcho-Langlius. The crypto-anarchist, Langlius, yeah. Oh, yay. Yay, okay, Smash Ultra. Okay, yay, awesome. Cool, I love our little community, guys. I'm so proud of us. It's so fun. It's so great. You guys are all so great. I like it here. I like it. Big Gotco is here? Big Gotco, were you here earlier? Did you hear what we said? Did you just come? A socialist gamer, hi. I hope Big Gotco did not hear what we said earlier. The whole time? Okay, joined after. Okay. You don't know. No, we didn't say anything about you. Don't worry about it. Definitely don't watch the playback. Don't watch the VOD. We missed you. We did. We noticed your absence. We missed you. Okay, so let's see my maps. Let's load it. Do you guys want to do Mongolia today? I think we should do Mongolia. Mongolia is interesting to me. Mongolia is very interesting to me. Where is Say? She usually comes in around this time. She usually comes in at map time. I don't know where she is right now. Where is that cat? Who knows? Yeah, I think Mongolia. Okay. So let's get on Mongolia. I'm going to open up our docs, our little docs we've been using. Okay. Mongolia, I think I know where we're going to position them, but we'll do the whole thing. I won't jump ahead. I have thoughts about Mongolia. Okay, so Mongolia is not one of our little fake NATO friends. I don't know, but I'm willing to bet we've been spending money in Mongolia. If I had to guess. We're spending money in Mongolia. $700,000. Okay. A little bit more than Hong Kong. Less than China. We're spending $13 million a year in propaganda campaigns against China just through net alone. That's on top of the billions of dollars that was directly funded and approved by Congress for anti-Chinese propaganda. Oh my god, it's so funny. Okay. So funny. Alright. Let's take a look at what's happening with Mongolia. So, in Mongolia, we have spent $700,000 in 3 months. 3-month duration. That's a lot of money. Supporting resilient political parties to strengthen Mongolia's multi-party political system and support citizen-responsive policy debate. The Institute will facilitate exchanges between Mongolian and U.S. political parties and support Mongolian parties in adopting more democratic and deliberate policy development practices to enhance openness and accountability within the country's pluralistic political system. Okay. Very fascinating. Interesting Mongolia. Exactly what I would guess. So here we go. They're blue. We're putting money there. We're doing it. We're spending money in Mongolia. Let's see. Mongolia is part of the SCO. That's the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They were a colony till 1911. Doesn't say, okay, so they voted yes on the Gaza ceasefire and they abstained from the Russia withdrawal, which usually means they're doing trade deals with Russia when that happens and they don't want to upset them. So let's take a look at what's going on with Mongolia in the news. Now, my vote for Mongolia is that it's probably going to be treacherous energy. That's what I was guessing. Yes, like last time when we created treacherous energy, I was like, we're going to need that for Mongolia, was what was going on in my head. So let's see what's up. Also, what the fuck is this? Is this some basketball shit? What is this? What am I looking at here? Why is this happening? Do any of you know about sports? Malrich, am I crazy for thinking China deserves Mongolia? I don't know if China wants Mongolia. I think they're like, that's fine. Taiwan wants Mongolia. I think China's like, Okay, what is this? Epstein was an Israeli spy. FBI source claims from a sketchy group. But what does it have to do with Mongolia? What does any of this have to do with Mongolia? Oh, I see. Okay, this is really interesting. Okay, everything about Epstein and being an Israeli spy links back to Mongolia? So Jeffrey Epstein was employed by Israel's Secret Service Mossad, according to claims in the latest tranche of documents related to the late sex offender released by the U.S. State Department. Dying and being referred to only as a late sex offender? Wow. You know, whenever you think you fucked up your life, just know that when you die, they probably will refer to you as something other than the late sex offender. Even. Like, he's the one you think about. When you think about a dead sex offender, you think about this guy. The latest files include an FBI report from the Los Angeles field office in 2020, which details that a confidential informant had become convinced that Epstein was a co-opted Mossad agent. The report said Epstein had been trained as a spy for Mossad and alleged that Epstein had ties to U.S. and allied intelligence operations via his personal lawyer, Alan Dershowitz. FBI documents show that Epstein funded organizations linked to the Israeli military, including financing the group Friends of Israeli Defense Forces, which raised funds for active duty Israel Defense Force soldiers and veterans. The JNF is a charity that supports and finances Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. Okay, he could have just been a regular Zionist, I guess, but Ehud Barak, the former Israeli prime minister, maintained a relationship with Epstein long after his first arrest for child sex offenses. Well, that's normal in Israel. That's just what they do there. So on February 6th, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded to claims on X, writing, Jeffrey Epstein's unusual close relationship with Barak doesn't suggest Epstein worked for Israel. It proves the opposite. I don't know how it proves the opposite, but okay. All right. What is this? Okay, Epstein also helped broker a security cooperation agreement between the governments of Israel and Mongolia. Very interesting. Oh, 2025 investigations by Dropsite News. All right. How the new Gulf War is impacting Mongolia. No. No. Don't make me do that. Why say no? It proves the opposite. I will not be elaborating how. Yeah, I'm like, how? Please elaborate. All right, countries like Mongolia. Here we go. The new Gulf War started on February 28th with the U.S. and Israel attacking Iran, is sending geopolitical shockwaves across continents. Countries like Mongolia, despite being distant from the conflict, are already feeling its impact on their economic activities. Mongolia's living in the Middle East have been impacted. When the Israeli-U.S. strikes began, the Foreign Ministry of Mongolia urged Mongolian nationals in the region to get in touch with the Mongolian embassies in Egypt, Kuwait, Turkey, and the UAE. They stated there were 281 Mongolian citizens currently residing in the Middle East, 80 in the UAE. This is not that many people. How is this significant? I don't think this is that significant at all. Okay. Mongolians want to come home. I feel like this like is true for like everybody. Why is this an article about Mongolia? Oh, here we go. In the last several years, Mongolia has been strengthening its bilateral relations with Middle Eastern countries, particularly with the Gulf states. To Mongolia, the region represents a new frontier of partners with financial and investment capabilities, meaning diversified investment options for Mongolia. Thank you for subscribing for 3 months, Getwald. On the bilateral level, Mongolia and Iran's historical ties were just recently refreshed. During talks between their respective foreign ministries in May of 2025, Ulaanbaatar and Tehran expressed the desire to expand their relations, particularly in the economic field. Mongolia was seeking deeper connectivity with Tehran via the north-south transport corridor, which would allow Mongolia to send its exports to the Persian Gulf using Russia and Central Asian connections. They really buried the lead here, yeah. The current war interrupts those possibilities. While Mongolia is not expected to alter its diplomatic approach to any of the countries involved, certain economic engagements, not only with Iran, Israel, and the Gulf states, but presumably with a newly distracted U.S., will need to be placed on the back burner and not by Mongolia's choice. Mongolia has refrained from becoming involved in most of the Middle East conflicts and complications. They're a small state with limited military power. However, when the Israel-Hamas war escalated in 2023, Mongolia's position became more clear. Its foreign policy and global engagement supported peaceful dialogue and negotiations. That's nothing. That's not clear. That's not clear at all. I think they're actually treacherous because I do think they're, by default, they are more aligned with China and Russia, and they are looking currently to expand more towards the Western evil empire. And we see the USA spending a lot of money there, and I think that's part of them shifting this. So this is my guess. But I want to see. I'll make the case. I'll let you guys know what you think. So Mongolia has voted in the UN in favor of demanding a ceasefire in Gaza, as well as offering full support for the UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees. They voted in favor of the UN General Assembly Resolution ES 1023, which included Palestine's bid for full membership. They also joined the Trump-led Board of Peace. But a lot of smaller countries, especially ones that have been slighted by the West in the past, joined it because they felt like they didn't get enough pull in the UN. So that doesn't really mean anything. Okay, not current affairs, but the USSR and NPR wrote this in the history of Mongolia's People's Republic. Okay, I'm open. Bye, Comrade Virgo. Enjoy Larry's stream. We will miss you. No thanks. Okay. This is just about the Israeli security agreement with Mongolia. They might be. They're kind of Polandy. Okay, so the U.S. sanctioned this Mongolian judge. Judges, this guy of Georgia and this guy of Mongolia were named as latest ICC officials to be sanctioned for work linking to prosecuting Israeli nationals. So this is what I mean. They're more on the side of the resistance. They're anti-Israel. Trump administration sanctioned this judge in Mongolia for his work. The two judges are members of the appeals chamber that ruled by majority to dismiss Israel's arguments that the investigation into crimes in Gaza was invalid. So now they're getting sanctioned by the Trump administration. This is the guy. This is our Mongolian judge. Who's rejecting Israel, trying to be like, no, don't look into the genocide claim. Yeah, most sanctions are personal, but they're like done in weird ways that adversely affect everybody. It's pretty interesting. But Belarus also joined the Board of Peace. A lot of countries that felt like they weren't taken seriously in the UN joined, like Vietnam joined the Board of Peace. Like it actually is a lot of the countries that don't like the United States that joined the Board of Peace because they thought they would have probably more of a chance to actually be heard and listened to. Ooh, Virgo is going to start reading A Two-Spirit Journey, the autobiography of lesbian Ojibwa Cree elder by Mani Chakabi in the AM stream for Pride Month. Oh, yay. Okay, everybody don't miss that. Don't miss that. Oh, that is crazy. Hegel's Big Dialectables. I'll make sure to put it for free. There's only so many we can do for free. It like only allows you like 5, but then like if you have a subscription, you can do like a bunch. I don't know. I gotta figure it out. So Marco Rubio announced the sanctions over this investigation into this Mongolian judge. This is more about Israel and Mongolia. What's going on in the news with Mongolia and Russia currently? Mongolia becomes largest importer of Russian chicken eggs. I'm not sure how relevant that is to us. Mongolia excluded from Russian gas ban. Okay. Alright. Mongolia courts Kazakhstan. Remember? Kazakhstan? And I was like, this treacherous energy is going to be used for Mongolia too, and Kazakhstan. They're trying to build their own new world order. Mongolia and Kazakhstan. That's what I think's going on. We gotta look more into this Mongolia-Kazakhstan alliance. Something's happening here. Something's happening here. We gotta keep our eyes on this. Yeah, maybe the eggs are gonna be like their version of the North Korean wigs. Okay. What is the Power of Siberia 2 pipeline that Russia and China are planning? Oh, what does this have to do with Mongolia? Okay, here. It would carry Russian gas from Western Siberia through Mongolia to China. So they're like kind of playing all sides here. They're really playing all sides here, Mongolia. Putin went to Mongolia in September of 2024. This doesn't really help. This is just a licensable photo. That doesn't help us. Okay. 2026, Deputy Prime Minister of the Russian Federation has officially announced a complete ban on the export of gas from Russia beginning April 1st, 2026, and Mongolia was exempted from that. So Mongolia and Russia have a close relationship. All right. Mongolia courts Kazakhstan, seeks path between China and Russia. I think this is what's really going on. I think this is a real scoop right here. I think what's going on with these two, I think, no offense to Tito, this is kind of giving Yugoslavia, Albania energy, but non-communist. You know, like you got your little Kiki friend group going on over there. And you're like, we're going to do our own thing. This is what I think the vibe is happening with Mongolia and Kazakhstan. They're having super secret best friend crew going on. So the black chickens, for a country that sends nearly all of its exports to China and depends almost entirely on Russia for fuel imports, finding a third direction has never been straightforward. But Mongolia is looking west to Kazakhstan. President Kurlsuk traveled to Astana last week in the first day visit from the leader of the country to Kazakhstan in 20 years. He met Kazakh President Tokayev and they signed agreements on nuclear energy, oil, banking, and transport. Both reaffirmed a bilateral trade target of $500 million, nearly 4 times what they exchanged last year. The deals are ambitious and follow a Kazakh Invest business mission to Mongolia in March that generated around $62 million in export contracts. But Mongolia faces 2 major challenges in bringing the deals to fruition: politics and geography. The country has cycled through 3 administrations in less than a year, plagued by protests against government corruption and caught up in the Gen Z demonstrations that took hold in other parts of Asia. Color revolution attempts. The party of the prime minister seemed to have started as Marxist-Leninist, but now a social democrat. You think yes, Autistic Baddie 3. This is what I'm saying. I'm thinking they're treacherous energy. I'm thinking they were defiant, and now they're like, well, whatever makes us money. Maybe we're open-minded, right? So, throughout all of 2025, the attention of the Mongolian authorities was primarily directed at resolving internal political disagreements. In all the years of Kazakhstan's independence, contacts with Mongolia were positive. However, the economic substance of the relationship noticeably lagged behind the rhetoric. While Mongolia is relatively calmer after the protests that lasted into early 2026, let's get the details. Inflation is still high amid simmering resentment against elites. I feel like we funded that. I feel like that's what we were doing with our money, with our 2025 money. Krusik. You know, it's just a special California dialect gift that I can pronounce. Anything is 1 syllable if I try hard enough. This is why it's so offensive when people are like, oh, you mispronounced that name. And I'm like, I mispronounce everything. I mispronounce my own name. I don't, this is not anything. So, roughly 85% of transport fuel comes from Russia. We talked about this. They're doing stuff with China. They've got horse meat, wool, and cashmere as their primary exports. They got money going on. They want to reach out to Kazakhstan because they are thinking maybe they move away from China and Russia a little bit. I think that's an interesting choice. I'm not sure why that's important to them. So the news with China, they have a partnership, obviously. In Inner Mongolia, the diplomat wants you to know China's assimilation campaign moves online. Beijing is now targeting digital communities that were Mongolian speakers' last refuge in a region that never posed a separatist threat. Okay, so they're making a new Uyghur for us. It's now Mongolians living within the borders of China. They're Uiguring them. They're Uiguring the Mongolians in China. Okay, that's going to be interesting for us. And a former chairwoman of the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region is being prosecuted for suspected bribery, according to the Chinese government. They are Uiguring them. They really are. Because, like, hold on, let me find if I can see the map. I'm looking for the right map. Hold, please. This is a good one. Okay, so this map shows the autonomous regions of China, right? And Inner Mongolia is its own region, obviously close to Mongolia. I'm going to compare it to the map. That's where Mongolia just kind of sits, and then here's like the Inner Mongolia region. So I think that part of, I would guess, what the United States is up to with its shenanigans, spending $700,000 in Mongolia, they're probably also spending money in the Inner Mongolia region of China to kind of paint Mongolians as a heavily oppressed ethnic group of some kind for political gain. This would be my guess. This would be my guess. Is it always quiet? I can make it louder. I just don't want to hurt anybody. Towards a U.S.-Mongolia critical minerals partnership. Okay, so China's northern neighbor has the potential, this is from May of 2026, recently, to help reduce U.S. and global reliance on Beijing's critical minerals. Okay, so it seems like we are dumping a ton of money into Mongolia to make them turn away from their alliances with Russia and China and to make them start to do mineral trade deals with us, so then we in turn rely less on China. And because of that, this is why my motion is that they were previously aligned with these places, but they have treacherous energy. They're getting the American Ned money pumped in. They're getting the trade deals with the West. They're getting lured away. We've got a Ukraine in 2010 situation occurring there is my guess of what's happening. So Mongolia is estimated to hold around 17% of the global rare earth supply chain world reserves. China, on the flip side, has 24% and is much larger. So this is wild. So in June of 2023, Mongolia and the United States signed a memorandum of understanding in which both sides agreed to advance secure and resilient critical mineral supply chains in the Indo-Pacific region. There it is. Macron's trying to get involved. Okay. So that's what's going on now. That's what's up. We want those minerals, and we're prepared to lure them away from Russia and China and spend a ton of money making sure that happens. Okay. This is what's up. History of the Mongolian People's Republic. Oh, this is a cool resource. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So let's look at what's going on with them in Kazakhstan, because Kazakhstan's also got treacherous energy. Step diplomacy, strengthening strategic relationship. Okay. All right. They're besties up. They're cozying up. Let's take a look at these protests. Let's see what ye old Jacobin says. Speaking of, yeah, pray they don't discover oil. And then let's take a look at who their current leadership is. Their current president is Kursk. Kurosuk. Okay, alright, okay. Let's see what his political alignment is. And I'm just on Wikipedia right now. I'm not showing you this. It's embarrassing. Don't look at me do this. Nobody can look at me on Wikipedia. I'm looking for sources. I just want to say, like, what his politics are, though. You know? Like, what's up with him? What's up with him? Alright, so here's the info I found. Mongolia's political wrangling sparks a constitutional crisis. The speaker resigned. This is from October 2025. The president vetoed an attempt to vote out the prime minister. What is going on? And this is what we're going to look at. We're almost done. I'm running a little late today. Oh my god. My whole life is running so late. I'm going to pull it up. One second. Ah, time is fake. That's so true. That is so true. So true. I can't hydrate. There's no time. Alright, here we go. So, Mongolia is going through another period of political turmoil. The newly elected Prime Minister, Gombajov, was ousted by Parliament, and the Speaker of the Mongolian Parliament, the state Great Hurul, Dashkevsky, resigned, both on October 17th. These changes at the top follow a major power struggle within the ruling Mongolian People's Party, which has now become a destabilizing factor for Mongolia's governance. This sounds like the USA was involved. The political battle is also raising constitutional questions. On October 20th, President Ukna vetoed the parliament's resolution to dismiss the prime minister, saying the process was unconstitutional. They have 3 days to respond. On the night of October 16th, the parliamentary session continued for 24 hours before the assembly voted to oust the prime minister, with 71 votes in favor out of 126 total seats. They were like, this voting formula was incorrectly used. The reason boils down to an internal battle for control of the MPP. Last month, these two battled over the party chairmanship, deepening divides between political factions within the MPP. I really think the U.S. had something to do with this. Huh. Yes. So when this guy came in, all of a sudden, it looks like him and Trump were going to have more deals. But then he resigned. Hold on. From the outside, political backstabbings were happening right and left. Weeks of political wrangling and character assassinations of party members eventually came to play out within the parliament itself. The Mongolian public, however, thinks the political fiasco not only demonstrates a lack of confidence in the prime minister's cabinet, but also blow to hopes that the corruption cases will be solved. The real elephant in the room is what's happening behind the scenes as actors and stakeholders are attempting to avoid legal hearings on coal and corruption-related matters. These events seem too familiar to the public, as Mongolia has a history of unstable government ousting of the executive branch. All right. Okay, so yeah, I think that I am standing by what I previously said here. How protests over designer handbags, this feels very, very CIA coded. Mongolia's been thrown into fresh political crisis. Young Mongolians took to the streets in the capital, putting pressure on the prime minister, who lost a vote of confidence before stepping down. I think this is like a color revolution, basically, vibe. It sounds like the United States wanted to oust these people, and we ousted them, and now all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're doing more deals with the West. They're doing more deals with us for critical minerals and rare earth minerals and stuff like that. This is really what I think is happening. The protests were triggered by social media posts that went viral showing the prime minister's 23-year-old son lavish engagement proposal and their apparent extravagant lifestyle, including helicopter rides and expensive ring, designer handbags, and a luxury car. Suspicion grew over how he had acquired this wealth. With no visible source of income, their display of luxury bags, private travel, and high-end living was a blatant slap in the face to the average Mongolian. Oh, what if, though, these are the... Let's see. People are like, we have economic concerns. Is there corruption? Freedom House said corruption and political influence in the daily work of judges remains concerns in 2024. All right, we want that. We want Mongolia. We want them. May 7th, 2025. We're wooing them. Okay. This is my position. My official position is we have been wooing Mongolia away from China and Russia because we want those sweet, sweet rare earth minerals. It's kind of working. We're sowing political instability with Ned spending. They previously were defiant, but they are having treacherous energy just like their buddy Kazakhstan. And not only are they talking to each other, they're also talking to us. And I think that's it. I think they're treacherous energy. Does anybody have any complaints about marking Mongolia as previously something, but now treacherous energy? Oops, wrong color. Wrong color. Oh no, wrong color. What does everybody think? Does anybody have an issue with this? What do you guys think? Agree? I'm putting it on the map if yes. You support? Interesting. I'm very interested. This is what we got to keep our eye out. Let's see what happens with Kazakhstan and Mongolia. Because the question is this. Do they go full Western cuck? Or do they try to build their own little alliance outside of the typical camps? And that is what would be interesting to see, right? That's what's really going to be on the table for us to keep our eye on. It could change fast. Yeah. Fascinating. All right, guys. With that, it's time for me to send you on your way to Larry. Tell everybody Larry said hello. I will miss you. An alliance is forming. Look at them touching. They're like the art. The art. You know the art? What's the art? Touching finger art. They're this. This is them. This is them. Do you see that? You see what I'm saying? That's them. Touching. Uh-huh. The creation of Adam. That's right. I took art history in college. All right, guys. Let me send you on your way. They are. They're like, ah. Yes. Yes. All right. Riding Larry. All right, bye, guys. I'll miss you, and I'll see you tomorrow for Theory Thursday. Very exciting. Well, it's Pride Month. Let them touch tips. You know what I'm saying? Let them do it. Let them do it. It's Pride Month, damn it. Okay. Bye. It's a little song for your outro. All right, sending now.